Have you always wanted to be a writer?
I always felt like I was just a dreamer, and so I didn't feel like I had a whole lot of choice. The words had to go somewhere, and I'm sort of on the quiet side, so if I could get a conversation out on paper, I felt like I was still interacting and talking in the world. So it kind of seemed like a natural conclusion for someone with my personality.
Do you remember anything about the first story you ever wrote?
Yes, the first story that I wrote was I had just found my father's record player and his record collection. So I was listening to Dylan's Highway 61, and the print was very poor. So I was just basically filling in the lines of lyrics that I couldn't hear. So I basically tried to write like this really awful, unnecessary novelization of Desolation Row, which was just, I don't know, it was a fun way to start. I mean, the world definitely does not need it, but I knew that even then, so.
Did you show it to your dad?
Yes, I did. He was very impressed. My father's always been really encouraging. So.
If you weren't an author, what would you be?
I would definitely want to be an elephant caretaker. It's something I actually still want to do right now. If I had the chance to go, I would in a minute. I was actually reading about in the Bay Area, they've been improving their methods for interacting with elephants. Elephants are extremely sensitive animals and they need their privacy, so they've configured all of these mechanics for the day-to-day caretaking of the elephants, so they don't ever have to come in contact with them. They can give them their food and bathe them without ever touching them. And I just think that there's something incredibly beautiful about the fact that these people are committed to taking care of animals that they can't even interact with face to face necessarily. There's this distance there, and yet, I don't know, I just think that's really beautiful.
Who would you say are some of your favorite authors?
I'm always going to keep turning back to my formative years and the people that I loved at that time. I loved Kafka growing up a great deal. Like, immediately I was into his stories and just reading everything that I could find. When I read America, actually, that had a huge influence on me, and I loved the figure of Carl a lot. And I actually, when the twins were boys in the novel, one of them was named Carl, as a kind of tribute to sort of my formative reading experiences.
What are you reading now?
Right now, I'm returning to kind of a happy phase. So I always reread My Happy Life by Lydia Millett. It's this book that I will never not be able to see as sort of a cornerstone of my interest in writing. And it's such a interesting take on enduring trauma and pain. You would think that the title is sarcastic given what the woman in it goes through, but she's completely sincere when she says, like, this is my happy life. And at the same time, I'm also reading Happy Family by Tracy Barone, which I would just challenge anyone to get through the first opening pages without, I don't know, I could not breathe until this certain juncture, which I will not give away, came to pass. So I've been reading that, and it's incredibly stunning. I can't believe sort of like the sad to funny ratio that's in it. And I'm also reading this book called The Price of Altruism by Warren Harmon. And it's the story of George Price, who was a scientist responsible for the altruism equation, and his life is incredibly fascinating to me.